All right, let's hop right into it. I'm revisiting my Assetto Corsa VR settings once again. Um, I think I was not hitting the mark the way I needed to once again, and I think in general we're going to make some things pretty clear with this video. I'm not gonna need a camera. We're just gonna go, hop straight into it. Um, the biggest thing I've learned through all of this experimentation is we don't need to be changing 50 million settings for every refresh rate. Um, Once we find our good baseline, we just go from there and we tweak our Oculus resolution. And with that being said, 72 is going to be my high fidelity preset. 90 is the balance. 120 is motion and give you a little headroom. And with all that being said, once you understand like the preset itself um, is more or less very similar to each one, um, you can go ahead and try different resolutions within the Oculus and see what looks good to you. Um, I've tried a bunch of these. I'm not gonna, go into a million different things and a million different cars and a million different places, because in general, this game is you're going to need to do a couple of different things from time to time, right? So just know that this is not a universal guarantee that this will work for you in every single situation you want to throw at it. But I think this will be a much easier place where you don't have to worry so much about what you set in the game as much as you set in your headset. The headset, I feel like I've gone pretty low on the headset resolution. Like I've gone as low as the default for 120 hertz, which is about 3200 by I don't know 12 something, and with the same settings in Assetto, it didn't look horrible. I had a bunch of room. I bumped it up a little bit higher than that, and we were still pretty good. So that's just to say, if you're working with something different, you have an idea what your foundation is and where you can go up or where you can go down. So, with that being said, um, our marks to hit, as I said in the last video, 72 hertz is going to need 13.9 milliseconds on the frame timing. 90 is 11.1, and 120 is going to be 8.3. So, just for the record, the higher the refresh rate, the less time your computer has to prepare each frame. So, that's why the 120 runs a lower preset than what I run on the 72. The frame deadline is much tighter here. So, just with all that being said, um, you know, I thought it was a lot more complicated how I used to look at things. I was trying to make each refresh rate its own entire preset. Now I think that was just maybe the wrong approach. And I think resolution in Oculus is what the cleanest move for us should be. If you need more performance, I could lower the resolution, and that's going to come in handy when you go into heavier places that you're going to need to compromise a little bit. But instead of having to go through, this entire menu, now all you have is really a great place to start. So I tried to do a little bit of the legwork to already kind of give myself headroom with my current specs. I'll, put some text on the screen. I'm sure that'll tell you what my specs are. But for the most part, I think that this is the way to go. So hopping right into it. So these settings are for the most part shared across all the presets. Um, with one of the changes being we're gonna do single pass stereo. That's gonna be on. We're taking FSR. All the upscalers are off because in general you can't run the upscalers or FSR in general with single pass. Our MSA we're gonna be at 4x. We're gonna keep our LOD bias at 0. Now, if you want a sharper image, you can go ahead and tick this that way. I don't particularly like it on certain maps. It just provides a bit of shimmer. It really depends on what your resolution is, what you're working with. Um, so I'd say 0 is a good place to go with that. So for my 72 hertz preset, we're at 1024 on the shadows, and also for the 90 hertz as well. And for our 120, that's where we've dropped it down just a little bit. And for everything, I'm keeping the mirror distance reasonable. I had more of a coming to Jesus moment on that. It's totally fine. It's not more, than what your actual eye can see when you're actually driving, so it's fine. I think on the 120 side, you might see that it starts to look a little bit lackluster, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Um, it's still very much more usable than some things I've used in the past. Um, we're gonna do 2 phases per frame. Um, that gives us a little bit extra cleaner reflections. Extra FX is always off. Um, what are we doing here with our mirrors? Um, stereo reflections, VR locks on, and we keep our frames at 0. And we just want to keep it stable. Not the lowest, not the highest, just stable, clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that 72. And as you can see, I am right here for 72 hertz, just a little bit under max. So I'm gonna restart my headset. But for me, this is the highest resolution preset of all three, because 72 hertz gives us like the most headroom, frame timing. And the purpose of this preset, the 72 hertz, is for quality. I wish I could include some kind of trigger for, remind you about the Oculus resolution, but just clue in that that's what we're changing for each one. It may be different for you, but that's a good starting place. So I would say 72, that's going to be solid for cruising, offline, normal driving. You're just trying to have a nice little visual sesh. I'd say stock Kuno stuff online should be fine. But, experience may vary. I'm just trying to lower the variables as much as I can to give you the best quality experience. in general, I think for the most of us, we want to use VR so it looks and feels good. Um, I think when you start to do major compromises with a game that's also very old, despite the mods looking good, there are old elements in the game, and once you start to dip a little low, you start to look a certain way. But yeah, uh, I'm gonna hop in real quick, and we can we can see just what it is. And whenever I go into hop into Link, I'm going into Oculus debug tool, and I'm taking this off. That's my routine. Okay, so we're at 72. Let's show you what it is. So I was testing this with random car, random track. All right. So you can see we're under our mark. Doing pretty good. Everything pretty smooth. Crisp. The mirrors look good. And we got about 3 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds. That's what you want. Nice and sharp. As you can see, we're not hitting the ceiling right there. Proofs in the pudding. All right, out of there. I'm not trying to make this an hour and a half video, okay? I already got the complaint from somebody. It's cool. Don't worry. I tried the settings that someone had left in the last video. Nah, I'm good, man. I want the game to look pretty decent, and I don't think we have to sacrifice that much to have a good time. But again, it's one of those things where there's not just one way to set a game. I just want to find a balance between looks and performance. I think that's fair. So that was that. Let me take y'all to 90 hertz. So we're gonna drop it just a couple of notches down to 4480 by 2272. And I think this should be what people try the most. Like, or just first. This is where you start. Like 90 hertz is really comfy. It's just when you start to feel that smoothness. And I think it really kind of gives you that exact balance. And, you might have a little bit of room to drop that resolution and give you probably a little bit more headroom than you can on some of the other, on either preset. So let me hop on in there. And we're going to do that same test. And before I even do all of that, gotta make sure that I change over the preset. Okay. If I remember correctly, I didn't really change too much over here, but just in case, I might combine those into two presets and just one preset. 72 and 90, they're interchangeable. Just change your resolution in Oculus. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. If anything, yeah, I that and like I capped the frame to 90 as opposed to 72 in a Assetto video. So okay, so we'll hop in, show you what we're doing. Okay. Let me just hop right out real quick, just so I can keep the continuity going. This is the important part. Thing I hate the most. Just make sure it's actually real through. Oculus debug tool always goes back to this to auto every time you switch or restart your Oculus. So you don't want it to half the FPS. I think that causes like the most instability in people's VR experience. So always that needs to go. All right, let's try it again. This is being recorded with OBS, so I'm probably using just a little bit extra headroom on my end. So I definitely got maybe a little bit different, slightly lower than this. But you can see we're still doing okay. And in general, everything looks good, so you can lower the resolution a little bit lower. So I think that was the part that took the longest, is trying to find something that was reasonable to look at. So not to make this a forever video, because not everyone has my computer, so obviously your results will be different. Can't stress that enough. Let's just go into the last one. 120, and this one is our real like performance preset. So we're dropping this down to right about here. And let's switch up real quick. Where we go? All right, so you see we're dropping the shadows. And we went down to narrow here. All right, so let's let me hop back in. Okay. Debug tool. The routine. Just get used to it. It's gonna be your best friend. Or if you want to use Oculus Tray tool, I like debug tool. It's only really one setting I gravitate towards in here for the Quest 2. So just keep in mind this one is going to be a little bit softer in terms of like the visuals, but this one isn't necessarily about making it pretty. We're just trying to make sure that we got smooth. So, uh, yeah, I think we saw it. Yep. So that's also another change. Capping it there. Take Alright. So you can see. Not bad, right? I would say like my tests off of recording, before recording, were kind of more around the four. Well, actually, no, they were around here actually. If you want to drop the resolution one more notch, you'll probably get closer to the 4.9 range. Results may vary, but we are smooth. Staying in budget. We're getting our mark. That's what you want. The game still looks good to me. I don't think it's that much of a compromise. There's still probably where it starts a little bit, but that's fine. Once it stabilizes, we're good. I'll give you a little headroom on that one. And I think that kind of just sets the record straight, really. Mind you, this is offline, so I definitely suggest that if you're going to take this to know Hezi, to know what you're going to expect. You know, any other preset that you rock with offline or anything like that, and then you take it there, you know that you're going to feel something. Like, I might have to go drop it, you know, down to one, you know, but actually no, I gotta download shit if I'm gonna get on there. But in general, I think this is you know, a refined version of what we were working with on the last video. I think it clarifies some points I was trying to make. You don't always have to make super crazy visual compromises to the game in order for it to run smoothly. And maybe, just maybe, No Hezi is its own beast and it's going to require a video for VR in general. I don't know. If there's enough people asking for that, then you know we'll go into that, because I think maybe that's another area that, I mean, in general, it's definitely the harshest optimization you probably get in this game is trying to prepare for No Hezi. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll leave the links in the description for you guys to download. Um, I still haven't just decided if I'm going to. No, I'll give you guys three different ones. You guys can decide what you want to use and what you don't, but understand that they're very similar. It's what you decide in Oculus resolution that matters. So you got to see it first, what it looked like. I'm running OBS, so give or take, 10-20% that I'm probably utilizing to record this video. Um, but you know, it's only a little bit off the top. It's not too much. So, if anything, expect better on your end if you have similar specs to me. If you're not streaming or recording, you're not going to have to worry about all that encoding. So, yeah, I think this proves a point. These settings work, they look good, um, and it gives you a good place to lower them. And I still think that they would probably look good. Um, so yeah, once you get the presets, you can see all the other pages that I that I that I took care of and what we're working with. Um, I've gone through each, and I think we're at a good place with this now. Let me know what you think. Until next time.